without a paddle. You imbecile! I beg your pardon. You're the one who forgot to pack the paddles. Don't give me that. It was you who forgot them. Admit it. What? Have you lost your mind? It was you! The argument continued in this vein for some time, neither creator willing to consider why it was the other one's fault, just that they knew with the certainty it wasn't theirs. All the while the fluency carried them further from home. Eventually Eden suggested they have lunch. By that time the fluency had drifted so far out into the great water that the island of Crank was no longer visible. Even the banks of the Jutta had vanished. All the creators could see, in all directions, was endless water. I thought you'd never ask, replied Cole. What happens now, do you think? I suspect we just drift for a while until we bump into something, said Cole. Well, that seems manageable. I can cope with that, said Eden. It could be worse. Could be stuck on that island for the rest of our lives. The king sat in the royal abode, and Arion stood. This is terrible, Codrich whelped. Something must be done. We can't just sit here. He shifted uncomfortably in his chair. Then he began to think. Times were desperate when Codrich began to think. Arion stared warily, while Arborella rolled her eyes in a give-me-strength sort of fashion. Codrich sat muttering insane suggestions, not one worthy of mention. Eventually, however, one did give someone else an idea. A grim grin spread across Arborella's face, before vanishing unnoticed by either king or servant. Sweetie, I have an idea. She watched Codrich's head rise with hope. Why don't you go after them? Codrich exploded out of his seat. Yes! What a brilliant idea! I'll simply build my own... What was the name of that contraption again? Codrich mumbled under his breath as he calculated the amalgam of buoyancy and float. A boat! That was it. No, sir. It was a fluency, remember? Boat was what you suggested last time. Incorrect, I'm afraid. Don't be ridiculous. The king is never incorrect, lied Arborella, who was more than happy to see the creator's greatest invention lose the name they had given it. She does have a point, Arion. I am never wrong. Arion decided to let this one go. As he thought about it, he realised he wasn't as bothered about the creator's best invention losing the name they had given it either. My mistake. Yes, it was, said Arborella. And while you're away, I'll take care of everything. Arion had a brief premonition of what Crank would be like if Arborella was left to her own devices. This vivid and crimson mental image prompted him to say, Although I'm not sure you're the best person to go, Your Highness. Crank needs you. What? What? The kingdom without a king is no kingdom at all. Yes, Codrich slumped. I suppose you're right. I'm a pretty important figure around here. The most important, you might say. He paused. Arion. You might say that, Arion. Oh, you're the most important figure around here. Well, if you say so. I suppose I owe it to Crank to stay. It would be selfish of me to go. Arion made the mistake of turning to face Arborella. She had him fixed with a penetrating glare. How about you go, Arion? Said the king. Arion's face contorted uncomfortably. Well, I was just making a suggestion. I mean, what do I know? He backtracked. The kingdom would probably be fine without you. No, you had it right the first time. I can't leave. But you have no strings attached. No great value. You're perfect for the job. But what about everyone else here? Surely they're perfect too, Arion protested. Possibly. But I can't rely on them as I can with you, Arion, stated Codrich. But don't you need me here? I'm sure I'll survive, said Codrich. Don't you want to honour your king by doing this for him? Said Arborella, trying to stifle a smile. As night had fallen over the vast ocean, the winds pushed the creators further from Crank. Next came the rain. Relentless and heavy, the downpour whipped into the fluency from above, while the waves sprayed in over the edge. Good thing we remembered to bring this thing, isn't it? Shouted Eden enthusiastically over the wind and the deluge, while tipping out a bucket of water. Yeah, just like the paddles, muttered Cole. Eden either didn't hear or was ignoring him. He had remembered something. He dropped the bucket and rifled through a bag hidden under his seat. He extracted a sheet and tossed one end to Cole. "Put this on." Cole set about looping the hoops of the sheet over the hooks of the rim of the flouncy. Eden did the other side. They met in the middle. It was completely dark under the sheet, but dry, relatively speaking. Arian woke to the rebirth of the previous night's argument. His mother had not reacted well to the king's decision to send him away in search of two blithering idiots, but his father had seen it as a great honour. Arian hadn't been particularly keen on it either, but when his mother confronted him, he found himself saying, "I think I can do it?" It was one of those surreal moments when his mouth said something he couldn't, for the life of him, remember his brain giving the all-clear to say. He had no wish to get himself entangled again, so he got dressed and, taking advantage of the hole next to him, crawled out onto the beach. In a few weeks it would be high tide, and the sand he was kneeling on would be wet again. Shaking this clammy prospect from his mind, he began his stroll over to the royal abode. It was a pleasant morning. The storm from the previous night had dispersed, leaving little in the way of clouds, and glorious beams of sunshine rained down on Crank's golden sand. "Enter!" came Codrich's over-exaggerated booming voice. Arian did so and took a slow breath. "I have decided to build a second flouncy and go in search of the creators." Codrich's body shook with excitement, while his mouth grew into an enormous grin, just managing to let out a manic squeal. "That's fantastic news!" "I was unaware the king's word was up for discussion," said Arborella coolly. "What are you talking about?" said a confused Codrich, stopping mid-hop. "I mean, since when did people within your kingdom have the opportunity to dispute your decision?" said Arborella. "Apart from me, of course," she added with a coy smile. "They don't!" thundered Codrich. "Who dares dispute my authority?" No one. I'm agreeing with you. I'm happy to do it." Happy may have been pushing it, but Arian wanted to keep Codrich in a mild mood. The king smiled at Arian while Arborella gave him a look which suggested Arian was very lucky that his majesty was less clued in than her majesty. "What's the plan then?" said a once again eager Codrich. "Well, that's what I came to speak to you about. I was hoping I could have the same perks that the creators had, such as access to the materials used to make Crank's buildings." "Except the royal abode," said Codrich quickly, while Arborella observed. "Fine, but I'm going to require an assistant to help get it built as fast as possible, and I want to pick them," said Arian forcefully. Not too forcefully. He had been quite enjoying this new experience of bartering. "Agreed." Arian stood smiling. Codrich rounded on him. He wasn't used to Arian smiling at him, and he didn't like it. "What are you still doing here? Get to work!" The rare smile continued to spread. "I could say the same thing to you." Codrich looked quizzical. "What are you talking about?" "I'm talking about my assistant." "You!" said Arian with a grin, which Arborella quickly imitated before it vanished. "That's an excellent idea," said Codrich with enthusiasm. "Because when you think about it, I really am the best man for the job. For one thing, I'm extremely competent, and What are you laughing at, woman?" "Nothing, just a joke I heard earlier." "Oh, you must be slow," said Arian, seizing the opportunity to get one over Arborella. She traded him a look, and Arian knew she would not forget the comment easily. Arian chose to ignore it. He was too occupied with his minor victory to be concerned with repercussions at a later date. "Shall we get to work?" The creators had floated through the night, all through the day, and were back to floating at night again. And yet the rain had not ceased. The weather had generously accompanied them across the water and simply would not be deterred by the creators' mumbled complaints. The sheet wasn't waterproof, and underneath everything and everyone was wet, but it shielded the creators from the beating precipitation at least, and pathetically dribbled onto them instead. Cole and Eden sulked in silence beneath the canvas. Slowly the rain did start to shift, and the clatter from above turned to a pitter-patter and stopped. Cole poked his head out for inspection. It was clearing. He and Eden unclipped the sheet and looked out into the night. The sky was pitch black with clouds. No twinkling of stars glittered above. No light from the absent moons kissed the waves. Nothing gave the indication to where they were. With an earth-shattering crack, blinding light exploded from above. What was that? That would be lightning, said Eden calmly. Not that. Over there, explained Cole, pointing a shaking finger straight over the prow. When the lightning came, it lit up whatever that thing was. You'll see. Just look next time. The two waited, sitting in silence, for the next bolt of lightning to illuminate the scene, but it did not come. Although the lightning was lacking, at least the rain had stopped. The rest of the storm wasn't letting up though. The wind was still trying to blow them out the Floincy, and if that didn't work, the waves were intent on capsizing it. It's a pity that the lightning has stopped. I was looking forward to proving you wrong, taunted Eden. I'm telling you I saw something. Okay then, what did you see? What exactly did this thing look like? Asked Eden sceptically. I don't know, it was big, began Cole. I only saw it for a moment. Ha! This gets better. You, the person who saw something, can give me no more information as to what you saw other than, and I quote, it was big. I'm telling you, there's something out there. Yeah, whatever you say, said Eden. Another crack sounded, more organic this time, without the majesty or the light. The Floincy jerked up out the water, sending equipment, supplies and occupants flying in all directions, and bringing them down harshly onto the rock. Groaning somewhere near the wreckage, Eden tried to haul himself to his feet, but only succeeded in reaching his knees before the infamous, long-awaited, second thunderous bolt of lightning caused him to drop back to the ground. Cole? Yes, came a pained reply. I can see it now. That's great, Eden, said a strained Cole as he struggled to his knees. We need to find the Floincy, and as many supplies as we can. Hopefully there will be something in the way of shelter from this weather for the night. We can have a better look in the morning. Shall we split up? Oh yes, because that never goes badly. Two people in a strange place, in the dark, what a bloody fantastic idea. Alright, calm down. We could tie ourselves together if that helps you. Fine, but first we need to find the rope. Together. Okay, follow my voice, said Eden. And then he began to make sounds with his mouth that weren't necessarily words. Why are you making that stupid noise? Interrupted Cole as he stumbled over an uneven surface. It's a laugh, isn't it? No, it isn't. Just shut up. There was silence. No, don't actually shut up. Just speak like a normal person. Ouch! That's karma. For what? Said an increasingly foul-tempered Cole. For belittling my ideas. I'm not belittling your ideas. I'm saying many of them are downright stupid, barked Cole. Whose idea was it to have all these bloody rocks here? Probably one of yours. Cole stumbled into Eden and grabbed his shirt. Now help me find the rope. The pair staggered over the rock on their hands and knees until they came across the rope. Okay, now you tie this end around your wrist and go over that way, and I'll do the same over here. Grudgingly, Eden did as he was told. The wind was bitter and the chill pierced through the skin, right down to the nerves. There it plucked away at them like a musician with a string. I've found it. What? Said Eden. But you're all the way over there. How could you have found it there? It's here. You must be mistaken, Eden, because this is definitely it over here. I don't know what to tell you, Cole. This is definitely it. Ah, said Cole. It would appear that what I thought was the Floincy is only part of the Floincy. There are a load of rocks where the rest of it should be. So I was right. The Floincy is over here, said Eden. No, I think you'll find that that is the rest of this one. After Eden felt around a bit, he sadly confirmed that this was indeed the case. The Floincy was Floint no more. What do we do now? Asked Eden. Not much more we can do tonight. Just grab the piece you have and we'll try to salvage a shelter out of the two halves tonight and see what we can rebuild tomorrow, said Cole resignedly. It had been a trying few days. What about the equipment and the food? Asked Eden. We'll have to see what's left in the morning. Without another word, the two ascended to higher ground, hoping it would be drier with some shelter from the wind and the rain. Eventually, after much bumping, falling and scratching, they found an overhang which they could fix the Floincy against, at least providing some protection from the gale. The creators lay down, pulled up what protection they had, and fell straight to sleep. With a great yawn, Eden awoke and enjoyed a luxurious stretch. Cole? Yes? I'm sorry about last night. I was just a little stressed out, with the launch not going entirely as planned and all. But I figure we've got to make the best of this situation. We'll just rebuild the Floincy and get back to Crank and everything will be fine. How does that sound? Eden, Cole tentatively began, have you gotten around to opening your eyes yet? No. Why? Asked Eden. It's hard to explain. Maybe you should just open them. Eden opened his eyes. Surrounding his face was an intriguing selection of pointy metal objects. Eden gulped. Ah.